Where's my sci-fi? Octavia Butler, N.K. Jemisin. These are some of the greatest prophets. Happy New Year! Do you get that? Anyone get the joke? First Sunday of Advent coming up, which is the beginning of the liturgical calendar, the beginning of the church year. Hi, Word Made Fresh, Reverend Jim, Reverend Adrian. Oh, she's got a little noisemaker or something. She's throw the confetti. Although I hear you've been kind of banned from throwing confetti in church. Is that true,
Only in the
Adrian?
pulpit, only in the pulpit can I throw it, not in the aisles because people might slip.
I mean that we don't want people to start the new year with a broken hip.
We
That's
do
let's
that.
yeah.
We do that.
Okay, so this is Advent 1 on December 1st, which is, let's just, my favorite thing is this year everyone's Advent calendars work because December 1st to the 24th, you can actually do the 24 days of Advent. Advent 1 is beginning. We are going to be talking about all sorts of things. What's our Advent theme at Riverside? I should probably be reminded of that because I'm preaching a sermon here.
You are the light of the world.
Oh, let me look in Slack. We
Like
have it in here
that.
somewhere.
Light the world, light the way. Something with light.
Light, there's something with light.
Let your light shine.
Is it Let Your Light Shine?
We
Oh,
have
this is,
talked
we're
about
going to,
so many Advent themes that I cannot keep it straight. I
Let
think
Your Light Shine. You got it. You got it. Ding, ding, ding.
let your light shine. There you go.
So we'll be lighting Advent candles. Those
We
lights
will.
will be shining. I think, Advent is always this unique season when literally, at least in the northern hemisphere, the world is getting darker and darker with the season of winter. And so we light those Advent candles, and it gives us that embodied experience of light shining. We'll have candlelight coming up in a few weeks at Riverside, which gives, 1,000 candles burning in the nave, letting your light shine. So I think we need that message every year, but I think we might feel it differently this year of Let Your Light Shine as an Advent anthem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be carrying us through. And then this particular Sunday, you get the Sunday off from the pulpit. What's going on? How'd that happen?
Yeah, well, Jim is coming to town, and we're like, "Hey, you want to preach?" So
I'm like,
super,
absolutely.
super excited to have Reverend Jim live in person at the Riverside Church preaching on the first Sunday of Advent. You may have done that last year too. It's kind of maybe
I
becoming a tradition.
maybe I
Or
know I
maybe
did
you came for
Lent.
candlelight.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
were there for
yeah.
candlelight. Okay.
Either way, it's going to
Either
be
way.
great. I'm pumped. I love Advent. I love the beginning of seasons. I love just getting to have a container to kind of like invite us into. However, the narrative lectionary makes it interesting because I'm used to the John the Baptist,
Right.
the voice crying out,
Right.
RCL Revised Common Lectionary passage. The narrative lectionary is bringing us into the lion's den. What? I mean, I guess that's also kind of fitting post-election, but
Yeah.
what?
Right.
What were
Right.
they thinking?
Well, there is definitely a waiting aspect and a trust aspect and a hope, I think, for God to show up. I don't know. Where are you going with this Daniel and the Lion's Den?
You've hit on a good few pieces that I'm feeling for the sermon. I want to lean heavy into the waiting because I think that becomes just an Advent experience, and I think that is an aspect of the Daniel and the Lion's Den story that I never think about. I just think of it as this scary thing. The lions, he was saved miraculously, amazing. But and the waiting, I think, has a when I look at it through that lens, I can see all the characters and their waiting because there's the king who was kind of like, what did I end up having to do? How did I legislate this? I don't want my friend Daniel. You have Daniel who's waiting for a whole lot to hopefully not happen, and then you have the king's administrators who conspired for this whole thing. So I think that the sermon's going to be called "What Are You Waiting For?"
Yeah,
And I
that's
think in the story we see these characters waiting for different things, and that's I think an easy jump to just the world we live in. We're all waiting for a lot of things, and I think it's easy to think. I'm going to try to not just show too many cards here because I'm still working them out. It's easy to think we're just going to wait for 4 years from now when we have a redo, right? Oh, I'll just wait for the next time I get to vote, or maybe 2 years when I get to change a few seats in the other places around. And I think the hope is like you preached the week prior. We can't just wait for that someday. We need to do something today, and that's where I think hope can often be seen as this future thing. Like hope is in the future. No, hope is in the present. The thing I'm hoping for might be in the future, but the act of hoping, that radical act of thinking it doesn't have to be this way, is something we do right now. And you see that in the characters in the story. They all hoped for different things. And in our world today, we're all hopefully filled with hope. Can you say a sentence like that? The word
Yeah,
twice? I
sure.
don't
Why
know.
not?
Okay.
You just did it. So I have a question because I think it also tracks with something you said years ago, the difference, the sort of mistake we make when we think about prophets as being the
Mm,
ones who
mm.
foretell the future. And
Yeah, a prophet doesn't tell the future. A
yeah,
prophet tells the truth about what's happening right now. It doesn't
right.
tell you what's going to happen. They tell you what's happening
What's
here and now.
happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
It's
heard a
why I think science
commentator.
fiction authors, where's my sci-fi? Octavia Butler, N.K. Jemisin, these are some of the greatest prophets because a science fiction author is using language of the future to talk about the present. I mean, come on,
Right.
Parable of the Sower, Parable of the Talents. You got an American ruler dictator who has a slogan called "Make America Great Again." She wrote this decades ago.
Right.
She's using language of what's her future to talk about the present. We're living in that reality still today.
Yeah.
I think prophets are the same. I think all people of faith should be the same. We use language of we talk about the present in all the ways we need. Yeah, yeah. I'm running in circles now.
Yeah, no, I think that is really good stuff. There was a commentator who said that prophets don't foretell, they forthtell. Like this is happening right
Ooh.
now. And I think that's an interesting also connection to Advent because I think it can be thought of as a time of rest, which is not problematic, right? Because we're in this season of hibernation and things are pulling in and gathering strength for the world that is turning from darkness to light. You know, when we hit the
Yeah.
solstice, the days are shortening now, and they have been shortening since June. But once we hit the winter solstice, they start to turn and they start to get brighter. So
Little by little, a
little
little
by
more light
little,
seeps in.
exactly. So there's nothing wrong with the pulling in and the pausing and the resting, but there is something really delicious about thinking about our forthtelling and what truths we need to be or want to be or invited to share in this.
And I think I love that frame thinking about the solstice because imagine the day before the solstice, the longest, darkest day of the year.
Yes.
And then if someone tells you tomorrow it's going to be a little lighter, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't seem like it.
Right.
It's just this tiny increment of light that starts breaking in every day after that solstice.
Yeah.
And time after time, when you do it again and do it again and do it again, suddenly we have sunrises at 5 a.m. and sunsets at 8 p.m. and we have a day filled with sunshine.
Right.
And my kids never want to go to bed. Okay.
Yeah, and it's why I think Easter is so powerful on this coast because we actually experience that. And I think I used to really dislike this time of the year, especially the right after Christmas time of the year, January, February. But when I learned about that little bit of light coming, I thought it's just so beautiful and hopeful and theological. So
Yeah.
I like it much better.
The other thing I'm exploring, which I have not done enough research to say too much profoundly on, but I think I can at least glance at it here, and you might have some insight too, is just I'm exploring what happens to us physically, physiologically when we're waiting. Like the
Mhm.
experience of having to wait for something, the anxiety that can arise, the nervous system, the excitement that can come. I mean, I've done some research before, seeing where people enjoy their vacations more if they plan them farther in advance because they have more time to anticipate it. So the waiting and the anticipating can make you enjoy something more. But what about the opposite's true? Oh, a root canal or whatever it might be, waiting for that might not quite be the experience you want. So I just want to explore what happens in your body while you are waiting for something and thinking about the experience again of King Darius, of Daniel, of the administrators, not to mention all of us in all the various things we're waiting for, and just how do we deal with this part of ourselves when we're
Yeah.
forced to wait for a diversity of things.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if you have any experience of that yourself. I mean, I typically take a retreat once a quarter, and I try to take a silent retreat, go to a place where from sunset to sunrise, we're silent or we're silent over the course of a few days, and I'm in a rhythm of prayer. There's something about that waiting that within 24 hours, it reshifts my whole body. So when I go to one of the spots I go to, there's prayer 5 times a day, 6 in the morning, 9 in the morning, 12 noon, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. And when I get there, my whole world is set by the clock of meetings, picking my kid up from school, making dinner. When I get there and I go to prayer and I start chanting, prayer is happening so consistently that everything gets reoriented to when is the next time to pray. And so within 24 hours, my whole being has shifted in such a way that I'm breathing more deeply, I'm walking more slowly, my mind starts to clear. I think in those spaces, maybe not in the root canal space, but in the sort of meditative, sitting with God sort of space, I imagine that there's some proof that it's doing something like to our brain waves, to our heartbeat, to our sense of calm and connection. It just seems to clear away so much for me. So I wonder about you. I don't know if that's a practice that you engage, waiting, meditating.
Oh, with kids my age, I can't quite get away to a silent retreat quite as
Yeah.
regularly. Silence is a rare thing, but I think
But
it's
you're
interesting to think
running,
about just
you're running,
yeah.
Jim. I know when I did run, I kind of would also get in this sort of meditative, everything kind of fades away.
Yes, and that's where my mind goes because I love even just thinking about what are the rhythms built into our life that we are implicitly waiting for. Just the this is the routine I fall through. I can definitely relate to that. I wake up, I get kids breakfast, I make their lunches, I get them dressed, I get them this, I get out the door. It's just boom, boom, boom. I'll go pick them up. They get a show while I make dinner. We eat dinner. My life is just structured around certain things. And so, what are the things that allow me to break out of that automatic rhythm and just kind of allow for a different resetting? And yeah, running definitely is one for me. I run home from daycare every day. I run to get the kids every day. So there's this like at least a solid 15 minutes where I'm not looking at a phone. I am not chasing a child. I'm just running in whatever the elements might be, which allows me like to be just present with myself differently. And sometimes maybe we need those changes of rhythms to notice ourselves differently, to find ourselves waiting for not just the is that going to happen again, but to I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I like this train of thought.
I feel like what you may be saying is it's why we love Advent so much. It's why the liturgical calendar can be so healing,
Mm,
that we come back again and again. We spiral back and meet ourselves a little differently this Advent than last
yeah.
Advent. We have this promised time to do this thing, if we choose to do this thing, to wait, to pause, to slow down, to watch the slide into darkness and the turn towards the light. And then we
Yeah.
get it again in Lent. It's different at Lent, but we've got these two like anchors for ourselves in the liturgical calendar. And some people
Yeah.
maybe Epiphany, although I don't know that that feels the same. Um, but yeah, Advent is such a gift, I think, in this time.
Yeah, and again, we say this a lot, but it's what's unique about the liturgical calendar, the lectionary readings. You're gonna have them again and again and again, and they always feel fresh.
Yeah.
We've done Advent before, but we've never done Advent in 2024. We've never. Okay, we have done an Advent post-Trump election, 8 years ago, but we're doing it again, and I guarantee it feels fresh and different with new things that are new alarm bells ringing and new life we're all living. And that's one of the unique gifts of this liturgical calendar is the repetition of we're gonna do the reps, talking about your sermon last week. We're gonna do it again. And in
Right.
a sense, what I love about that is if you miss it the one time around, just wait for it. We're going to do it again next time around. You're going to constantly get a chance to have this invitation and opportunity for all these seasons.
Right. And I think of this spiral and this deepening into relationship with God. And I think also it ties with Daniel in the lion's den, um, because of things my grandmother used to say. They were just like, just wait on God, just trust God. Because when you get to be a grandma, you've been around enough times, you've been in enough lions dens that it doesn't shake you at 72 the way it shook you at 22. And I'm, as a person in their late 50s, experiencing that, watching my 14-year-old go through stuff. And I'm like, oh girl, right? Just sit a while, right? Just wait a while, just live a little, just trust God a little, and you'll come to this place where, like Daniel, I imagine you can sit amongst some lions, maybe not be completely chill, but maybe a little more chill than you were the last the last time around.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'm excited for Sunday. The
Yeah.
bulletin quote, I already turned that in. It's going to be I'm not even going to tell you in here. Just going to make you look for it on Sunday. I had a lot of fun pulling that bulletin quote.
It's a
It's
great
from a
one. I
they're
actually said
they're
you might want to take that and do the Advent lighting with that for the season. I thought that
ooh,
could
I
be
like
good
it.
for the young people and for the rest of us because it's got a kind of magical quality.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I think so. There might be a sermonic selection happening on Sunday. Got to talk a bit more with Alan. I don't know. Have you heard of my plans for this, Adrian? What I'm scheming and dreaming
No,
here?
what's the song?
Well, it
We'll
might.
see.
So there's a song about waiting by a band that we typically don't hear the style in Riverside, so I'm not sure how it's going to be interpreted. But there's a song called "I Will Wait" by Mumford and Sons,
Oh,
and I
Mumford.
think it's an interesting reflection on the Book of Daniel. I will wait for you, and I think all the king and Daniel are both having this "I will wait for you." The king is waiting for Daniel. Daniel's waiting for God, and I think it just gives us again a nice gentle shove into Advent of
Nice.
reminding ourselves we're waiting for God. And as we do that, God is always present in the midst of everything we're experiencing.
Always,
So,
always present. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. I think this is going to be an awesome kickoff to Advent.
Oh, and housekeeping, Advent. So then, if for those who can gather in the building at Riverside, we will have Advent Fest happening after worship. This is kind of a big church-wide intergenerational celebration where you get to make Advent wreaths and put your candles together. There'll be some videos highlighting the education department and showcasing what they've done. It's just good, fun, festive time together to start this Advent season. So if you're in the building in the New York area, join us in the room. Join us for Advent Fest. That's only an in-the-person thing because it's hard to do Advent candle making over Zoom. We're still working on the hologram technology, maybe next year. But all sorts of good things happening, as always, on Sunday and all season long. Candlelight is coming. I'm pretty sure tickets might be on sale. Get your link wherever
They
you
are
can find
on
links.
sale. If you're in the building, there's going to be a wonderful buffet dinner following candlelight with, I think there's going to be music and it should be a lot of fun. But if you're not, you can get an online ticket and enjoy this beautiful spectacular of light and music. It's a wonderful way to bring in and celebrate the Christmas season.
Oh, it's incredible in both experiences. If you can get to the building, it's phenomenal. And it's incredible online. I'll be online this year. My mom always watches online. Just, dim the lights in your living room, have YouTube up on your TV and watch the service there. It is incredibly moving and powerful. So all that coming, more and more coming, and then we'll talk more about Advent. We got a children's pageant coming. We got all sorts of good things, and then a baby's going to be born, and it's gonna be 40 some days to Christmas, I think. 30 some days. I forget the count as of this video. So it's coming whether we're ready or not.
Ready
Ah,
or not?
we'll talk to you again on the next one.